show you on the back of one of these panels over here. Just a basic layout. See, I marked it, laid it out how I wanted it, measured it, and then I drew my line so that the bead roller line stops. Basically, you just extend it. This is a two-person job generally, so one person to crank it and another person to guide it. So you get nice clean curves, clean for the most part. Adds quite a bit of strength, 20 gauge. Most of the time when you're doing curves in a panel, you don't even use this stop. Just lay it all with a Sharpie and then run it through. Anybody who's watching this and has a Facebook, feel free to add me. Tinman 2 Kustoms, Luke Merrill, Lukemerrill. I have a Facebook page for myself and a Facebook page for my Tinman 2 Kustoms stuff. I also have Instagram, instagram.com/Tinman2 Kustoms, Kustoms with a K, just like my YouTube here. Check it out. It's usually of sweet stuff, cars that I'm working on or whatnot. So thanks, guys. Alright, so I'm going to go over basically how I'm laying this panel out here. This first Sharpie line that comes from here all the way down is where my door panel actually sits up against this. So I'm basing all of my measurements based off the edges of where everything kind of sits. So I take a 1 3/4 inch or 1 1/2 inch ruler or something similar, and I lay it out based on where the line for my door panel sits, and then I trace the first line there, so that gives me a 1 3/4 inch or 1 1/2 spacing, whatever you prefer, or an inch or whatever you go with. I did the same thing here with this edge because it's got this lip, so the panel actually starts in the car right at the end of this lip, starts this way. So you actually measure with the ruler from the inside of this lip over, and then you mark it. And then I did a 1 3/4. And then here, down here is a little bit more than 1 3/4 because 1 3/4 ended up right on my rivet spot right there. And then I take this radius gauge. Now this just is circles. You can use anything. You could use even the bottom of a can of a card planer if you wanted to. Just something consistent so you can lay out your marks. So what I do is I take this, for this one I'm using the 2 1/2 inch. It kind of depends, but now I'm doing this one-handed, so don't judge me. Now you can see I'm lining it up so that this is just barely off the edge there. And now I'll trace this. I gotta set the camera down. And now you can see that I have a good radius so laid out, so then I can bead roll it. And I'll do this on all 4 corners. Again, using the same radius on every corner. Except up in here now I have this one little spot for the roll cage that I'm gonna try and kind of bead roll into this so it kind of looks artsy, so to speak. So I have this template that I just cut out. It's the same as that. Now what I did was I measured from the bottom of this radius down and marked it. So if this is 1 3/4 here, then I measured down 1 3/4 here. So I marked the center or the depth right here. And then all I do is I set this template back on there and I draw out that radius intersecting my line here. And then for this one I'm going to take a smaller radius, just because if you put this big radius here, it won't really work out. I mean, you won't have much going on there. You won't really even notice. So I'm taking a smaller radius, which I have marked because the last panel I did use this one for this spot. So again, all I'm gonna do is line it up, draw these lines, and I'll set the camera down again. Now you can see that I have that radius set up there. And again, in the same corner with the 2 1/2 inch radius again, And you can kind of imagine how that's going to look. Okay, so when you bead roll, you want to do the back side of this panel because you have the die like this, and it's easier to line up the top die with your line like this than it is to line up the bottom die with your line. So you want to be able to see the top side of the panel, obviously. So if you flip these dies around, you'll have the female on the top, and it's harder to judge where you're at based off the female than it is based off the point of the male. Okay, so that's why I always mark the back side. The front side just stays clean, but the bead roll is going to be protruding out the front side. Now I'll show you a couple transition points in here. They're not perfect, but it'll work. Right in here, you can kind of see where the transition was, where I started. This is where I started, went around, and then came together right in here. So you can kind of see there's a little bit of a dip there. Now you can see there's another one here. They're usually never perfect. Right in here, the tighter radiuses are harder. This one was actually pretty difficult. Oh shit, it's not gonna be deep enough, is it?
Well, I don't know, you're not turning it fast. Oh, ho, 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 ho.
Okay, keep going. You can only go halfway. Damn, that sucks, huh?
Yep.
Just because the throat on the bead roller wasn't long enough, so I actually had to stop right in the middle of this damn small radius, but I ended up turning out alright. Really, the layout time is the most important time on this. It's kind of like a paint job. The prep time is the most important. So I'm going to finish laying all these out and bead and rolling them, and I'll show you the end product. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe. Tinman 2 Customs. This is Wild-Torquey, building this badass bitch. Ciao.
You gonna start by the tunnel, or do you want to start on the outside edge?
I want to start in the back somewhere. Okay, out of the streets, huh?
Yep. And yeah, that's as far as you want to come in, 1.5 inches from here. You don't want to come in 2 inches or anything. You want to come in 1.5 inches.
I don't know. What would be best? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'd say just leave it the way it is.
Okay.
It'll be the most strength, right?
1/2 inch is going to make a difference either way. Okay, well that one you can go ahead and put your 90-degree bend back in now, because we're done bead rolling it.
Now you can see I have this floor back here pretty much done. I have 4 panels, and they're all tight fitting. And then around these shocks, what I did was I got these cut out, obviously, and I have room for a little bit of travel in case this rear end actually travels on an arc. So when it travels, when it pushes away from the body, it's gonna push a little bit back. So that's why there's a little bit extra room back behind the shock here. And then I just have some 1/8 inch rubber that I'm going to rivet to the underside. So you'll be able to see this nice metal work. And in order to sort of get these panels in and out, you can see I just have this bolt sitting in here. I couldn't actually leave the long bolt in there because in order for these panels to be tight, you can see it's tight. About 1/2 inch on each side of the shock. In order for these panels to be tight, you have to have clearance on this side to actually get the panel on, so you can't leave the nut and the bolt together, or I couldn't in this case. You can see I have it notched out right in here for the air tank mounts. And then I'll just take some silicone and silicone around that nicely. It's a pretty tight fit, but it's not exactly perfect. Right here I have an access panel so I can get to my taillights. Since it's kind of janky, I might have to redo this. You can see that bottom corner kind of got crappy, but this goes down here anyways, and it'll all be covered up by my air tank anyway. You can see down here I have all the offsets, and then I have it fairly tight in there. I'll have to fill it with something as tight as I can get it. I have it bolted up underneath. You can see it bolts underneath that panel there. None of it's tight right now. It's just sitting there. I guess, yeah, that's about it. The air tank, which is right there, goes back over in here, and you can see that I have this dip. So I got this floor as low as I could, so I could have my air tank in here and keep the air tank low, because obviously it's gonna be it's circular, so it comes down and it comes back up. And it fits nice. If you notice over there, there is some tape over the shock. When I was putting on the panels, I noticed that I was getting really close to the shocks and I didn't want to scratch up the finish too bad. So I put some tape over them. These are fancy shocks, Bilsteins. That's about it, I guess. Floor is pretty much entirely done. Now I just have to wait until Wednesday, which it's Monday right now, so you guys will be seeing the video Wednesday. But I have to wait for Pour 15 to come so I can take this all apart, finish cleaning all of it up, prep it for paint, and then paint it and finish it. And you guys will see the finished product in the next episode. Jesus, Martha, we're working too long. Anyways, it looks alright, coming together good. So thanks for watching, guys. I encourage you to subscribe if you haven't already. I'm sure most of you that are seeing this have, but if you haven't, please subscribe. Check out the rest of the build videos. There's a lot of good information throughout the whole build series. I've spent a lot of time on this build. There's over 3,000 hours into the build itself, and then probably I'd say another 600, 700, 800 hours just in videos. Thanks for watching. Ciao. Jesus fucking Christ.
What?
Why did you slam it?
I set it down. What the hell difference does it make? God.